Welcome to the Lady Landlords podcast, where we empower women to gain financial independence through real estate investing. I'm your host, Becky Nova, founder of Lady Landlords. If you're ready to buy, manage, and grow your real estate portfolio, then let's get started.
Welcome back to the Lady Landlords podcast. I woke up this morning in absolute shock, and I'm sure someone out there felt the same way that I did. But this morning I woke up and I realized that today was August 1st. August! It is the 8th month of the year here. We are more than halfway through. We are already in Q3. This is much farther in the year than I thought we should be right now. But regardless, here we are now. We now have only 5 months left of this year. 5 months left of 2023. I cannot believe that. But right now is a great time to think about what those goals were that we set for this year and really make sure that we can double down and accomplish those goals before we get to 2024. So today, I actually want to take this podcast and make it a little bit more of a working podcast. So as I set this up, go grab either a pen, paper, open notes on your phone, whatever it may be, so that way we can actually take action right now to make sure that we're going to set ourselves up in a great way to knock out the rest of 2023. All right. The reason I was thinking about this is because I see all day long in the Lady Landlords group, women talking about, hey, I'm looking to get this property. I'm looking to accomplish this. Hey, I'm working on this. And then now I'm seeing like a couple months later, still people being like, hey, yeah, I still want to do that thing. But what I'm not seeing is that progress of what we should really be doing, that consistent action that we need to be taking to really be able to grow our portfolios, to be able to grow the cash flow, to really be able to make a change in our financial situations. So that's why I thought, you know what, let's just check in today. Let's get some action steps down. Let's really commit to what we want to have this last couple months here. So that way we know we are on the right track and the right track for us. Okay. So I'm actually going to give you guys a great exercise to do. I'm going to be doing this right along with you guys, and then we're all going to make sure to go post it in the Lady Landlords group. I'll give you instructions on that in a minute, because we will have a nice accountability group to make sure that what we talk about today, we're going to be celebrating by now the end of 2023. All right. So hopefully that gave you a minute to go grab some pen and paper, to open up some notes. So the first thing that I want you to write down is I want you to write down what it is that you want to accomplish by the end of this year. Okay. So that could be making sure that you get another multifamily. It could be making sure that you secure lending. It could be making sure that you secure capital for a purchase, whatever that may be. Make sure to write down what that goal is now. Then we want to get really specific on what that goal is, because I know somebody out there just wrote, I want to buy a rental property. No. Let's get more specific here. It's very important to be very clear on what that goal is, so we have that focus. All right. So what I mean by that is, instead of saying I want to buy a rental, what we want to make sure to do is to add qualifiers to that. What type of rental? Where is that rental? All of those things. We already know we want to buy it by the end of 2023. That's what this entire goal that we're setting right now is, to see what we can do before the end of the year. So you have that part. But if you wrote down, for example, I want to buy a rental, let's talk about what that's going to look like. What type of rental is that going to be? Is that going to be a short-term rental, a mid-term rental, a long-term rental? Is that something that you want to have a single family, a multifamily? Do you want it to be a large apartment complex and a commercial property? Make sure to add those qualifiers in. Also, where do you want it to be? Is this something that you want it to buy locally? Are you looking to buy out of state? Are you looking to buy out of country? Make sure to put a location to it. Think of all of those W words we learned back in school. What, the where, the when, the why, and then how, which just messes up the whole system. But make sure to add your W words to this so we can get very clear on what type of property it is that you are looking for. If, by the way, you are not sure the answer to those questions, well, then your goal should really be to sort out what it is that you really are looking to buy. Right? If you're not able to answer the where, the what, the when, those types of questions, then we really need to set your goal as saying we need to determine what that strategy is going to look like first, right? Because that might be where some of you are getting stuck and being in that analysis paralysis section. If you're not quite sure even if you want to buy a single family or multifamily, or if you want to buy nearby or out of state, we really need to start back with what is the right strategy for you. So you can write down that as your goal of saying that you need to get clarity on your strategy before the end of this year. But whatever that goal is that is yours, specific to you, we should now have that written down. We should now have that clear. We should now have those different qualifiers added to it. That's going to then help us be able to keep focused on on accomplishing that. Now, second thing I want you to write down is what is just the very first action step that you need to take to move in the right direction. All right, so let's use the same example I said. Now, writing down this first action step. If, for example, that you said, I'm going to buy a multifamily property with 2 to 4 units for under $500,000 in the Hudson Valley, New York, right? That's one of the places that I tend to look, and one of the goals that I'm actually working on. That would be something that you can then say, for example, your first action might be to get pre-approved to make sure that that is something that you can feasibly buy. Maybe, or depending on what type of financing that you're going to use. Or maybe this would be something that you need to do a little bit more market research and say, hey, can I even find properties for that price point in this area? Whatever it may be, I want you just to write down not all the action steps, not all the things you need to do to make sure that that thing happens, but I want to make sure that you write down what is just the very first thing that you need to do to accomplish that. Okay, let's keep it simple. Now, hopefully by now, you have that written down, you know your first action step. What I want you to take now is I want you to think about what your calendar looks like. We do not have to do that first action step today. I get it. If you have kids, they're probably out of school right now, or maybe just going back. Also, there's a lot of people that are on vacation right now. You might be one of those people. We don't want to say that you can't, but you need to do those things today, because you know what? Life happens and those things are okay. But I want you to pick a time when you can focus on that calendar action. So pull open Google Calendar, pull open your planner, whatever it is that you do to make sure that things get done when they need to get done, and put on that calendar the time when you will take that first action. Okay. That might be making a phone call. That might be getting pre-approved. That might be going and shopping and going to some open houses. Whatever it may be, make sure to put that on a calendar. And it's okay if you're saying, hey, listen, Becky, it's August 1st. I get that. I want to get going, but I can't do these things until the kids go back to school on Labor Day. I can't do this until I get back from vacation in mid-August. Those things are okay. The important part of this practice right now is to just get that time on the calendar. I don't care if it's in November. All that I care about is that we have a time that is set aside for you to work on that action item. Okay. So hopefully by now you put that first action item into your calendar. The second thing that now I want you to do is after that time, right? So if you said, okay, on Thursday, March, let's not go to March. On Thursday, August 3rd, I'm going to take that first step. After that time, I want you to also put a second time in your calendar for when then you could think about what are the next steps that you have to take, right? Just a time for you to sit down and really just brainstorm out what are the next steps. I think when you get through that first action, you're probably going to have a little bit more clarity on what's going to happen next. So let's get through that first step first, then we can think about the rest. We spend so much time as real estate investors just being totally overwhelmed with all the things that we have to do, all the things that have to be done. And I'm encouraging you here to think about what is really just the first step in front of me. Let me get through that, and then I can work on step 2. And then when I get through step 2, I can get through step 3. You're going to find this much easier to consistently take action when you see this just as one step to the next step, rather than just thinking about all the things you have to do. All right. So now in your calendar, you should have 2 time blocks. You should have one for you to be able to take that first action step. And then second, you should be able to have another time on your calendar that will talk about what is the next step that you have to be able to take, not to actually do the step, but to really just think through what is included in that second step. So that way you will be able to get that one done now. All right. So as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we are going to make sure to have some accountability around what you are looking to accomplish at the end of this year. So I am going to make a post in Lady Landlords now today, August 1st, that I want you now to come and put in those comments in that post, the things that we talked about today. I want you to put down what your goal is by the end of 2023. I want you to put what that first action is that you're going to work on. And I want you to put down the day and time that you committed to taking that very first action. Okay. It's going to be a great way to be held accountable. It's going to be a great way to inspire other women to really make sure that they are taking action and that they're going to be able to reach their goals by the end of this year. And if you are stuck in any way, it's a great opportunity for us to really kind of chat about where you're getting stuck. So that way you don't have to feel that way anymore. Let's get you moving. There are so many times I talk to women in our inner circle just about little tweaks that they need to be able to make to really go from saying, I am just stuck where I am. I don't know what to be doing. I don't know where my time should be committed to. And literally with just a little tweaks, they are able to be buying properties after properties after properties. Okay. And just adding cash flow and cash flow and cash flow to their bank accounts every single month. So look for that thread. I will make sure to put it down in the show notes. But otherwise, August 1st, you will see a thread that will be all about this podcast episode. Come on over, show the other ladies what you're working on, get accountability and the support that you need to be able to hit your goals. All right. Thank you very much for joining me for today's episode of the Lady Landlords podcast. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button so that we do not miss any of our upcoming episodes. All right. See you back in the Lady Landlords Facebook group.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate journey, visit lady-landlords.com to book a one-on-one workshop with me. I'll help you determine your next best strategy. Or you could subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a lady landlord today.